Priyanka, can you just brief, like,
My introduction.
yeah,
Okay.
probably from the technical, so I will know that.
Yes. Hello, I'm Priyanka. Currently, I'm working in the Dynamics IT PVT Ltd in the Hinjwadi. So currently working as a software developer and wanted to update with the React JS. So currently, I was working with on backend from as a PHP developer. So the project in which I'm currently working, which that is in PHP for backend and React for frontend. So I also looking other company. I mean, I'm thinking to switch with the updated technologies, and that's why I'm joining this course.
Okay, so you are doing the React JS now,
Not
or
much. Most of the work is in PHP, and
okay,
for React, just a little bit. I just debug the code for React. Just nothing. I'm not developing anything in the React.
and what about the JavaScript?
Yeah, just I'm using JavaScript in the PHP.
Okay, so you are familiar with the JavaScript.
Yes, I'm aware about the PHP and JavaScript, HTML, CSS.
Okay, okay, so let's start then. I'll share my screen. I hope it is visible.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. So these are some few demo slides I have prepared so that we will have uh, sync into what we are talking and what topic we want to cover in a demo.
Yes, sure.
So this is about the React JS, and so what is a React? Do you want to contribute or should I just explain it by myself?
Yes, please. You explain. I
Okay, because
not much aware. Mhm.
nowadays everyone is into the React, and it's basically a simple JavaScript library. If you compare it with the Angular, that's what I had in my mind that where uh, where should we go? Should we go to the Angular or should we go to the React? And whenever I come to this question, I always see that the Angular is much more built-in framework. You need a bit of learning curve to learn all those components and the framework associated with the Angular. But with the React, it is simple JavaScript. So basically, if you know the JavaScript, it is easy to incorporate the React structure in it. But uh, there is a another component which comes with the React is need to learn too many libraries, because if you need to route the pages, then you need a router library. If you want to do the state management, you need the Redux.
Mhm.
Like that, for each of the component, you need a separate library, and then you have to adjust with it. So to start with the React, you just need to know a little bit about the how the JavaScript works, and most of the JavaScript functions that we use previously or in vanilla JavaScript or in jQuery, any JavaScript library, if you're familiar with using the JavaScript, same thing will be applied to the React. So React is nothing but simple JavaScript library, and as you know, might know that this is maintained and developed by the Facebook. And why there is a demand? Because of the community. Because if you see, everything associated with the React is available from the community, from the state management to the middlewares to the routing libraries. There are ton of libraries you can use and just incorporate to the UI. Also, if you see from the performance perspective, if you compare it with the Angular, it is always performance intensive. Like the pages which are generated, the vanilla JavaScript or the raw pages generated by the Reacts are always lightweight compared with the Angular because it works on the virtual DOM. That we will see it later. But it is always lightweight compared with the Angular. If you are basically comparing with the Angular and the React to what to choose from, and there is a component-based architecture, so you can separate it out each of the component, like having a single button into your. Let's say you are building any front end and you have two pages and you have the submit button on each of the page. Then if you are using the HTML, plain HTML or the JavaScript, what you have to do, you have to copy that code onto the two pages and then write the functions around it. But then maintainability makes the issue that you have duplicate code, and if you are changing something, then you have to remember that you have to update it in the second page as well. But here you can create these components around the button, and that single component you can reuse in the different pages. And if you are making the change into the one, that automatically reflects into the other pages.
Mm,
So that is one of the advantages of using the React. Uh, there is a declarative programming style. So uh, like you are having the JSX into the React, and JSX is nothing but the JavaScript plus the HTML
HTML,
with the
yes.
XML style programming. So that's why its readability and writing the front end is very uh, modern approach. With the modern approach, you don't have to remember too many complex syntaxes. You just need to know how the HTML is written, what are the tags into the HTML, and how the XML is written. Basically, if you are familiar with that, then it is easy to incorporate or write the React components. So, why React? Probably that I already explained that you can create a reusable component. So, as I said, that if you are having the single button onto the different pages, you can create a single component. And even if I don't know if you're familiar with the generics which are available into the .NET or the JavaScript environment, Java environment. Same kind of structure you can achieve with the JavaScript as well. So with the JavaScript, you can create the generic components, and based on the types you want to invoke with. So React, I feel that there are uh, there are two ways you can incorporate the React. One is with the plain vanilla JavaScript, and another one is with the TypeScript. It's always better to go with the TypeScript because you will always get the type safety around it. And most of the enterprise applications are built it with the TypeScript and not with the JavaScript because JavaScript. Do you have any like why there are TypeScript written React pages and not the JavaScript written?
I guess it converts the code. I mean, React is not directly We cannot it is somewhere whatever we use functions in the React that are written in the TypeScript, I guess in the background, I guess
Yeah.
it converts the code. Not
Uh,
not know in detail, but
okay.
just
Yeah. So somewhat correct, but with the JavaScript, if you are familiar, there is a you can pass any type. Like you can pass string into the numbers, numbers into the strings, complex types into the strings, and then whenever the uh, transformation happens from the React or JavaScript to the browser pages from the browser components, then you will always get the runtime errors and not the compile time errors. So if something is not working, then it's hard to debug when you are using the JavaScript because it doesn't have the type safety around it. So
mm,
if you are passing just 1 to 10, 1 to 3, and you are comparing, let's say you are comparing one in one list, you are having the numbers 1, 2, 3, and one list you are having the strings as the 1, 2, 3 string numbers. Then addition of those, the JavaScript will not throw any error. It will just say that it will just gives the result. But at the runtime, it may throw the error that you are adding the 1 plus 1. If you are
mm,
doing the 1 plus 1, it should be 2. But if you are doing the 1 plus string integer 1, then it will gives the 11 as the output. So that errors you may, or most of the times, major companies or major applications face. So that's why they are moving from plain Java or vanilla JavaScript to the TypeScript. So that's where the reusable components comes to the picture, where you can make the generic components by using the type safety, and those can be reused on any of the page in the React application. Second one is the virtual DOM. So have you like know anything about the DOM?
mm.
So DOM is basically nothing but if I just go here and say I'll open the Google, inspect. Are you able to see my browser page?
No.
Or okay. So stop sharing, share, touch screen. Is browser visible now?
Yes.
Okay. So do the inspect, and this is nothing but the DOM. Uh, it's this is long form is document object model or DOM tree, basically what we call. So it contains the head. It's simple HTML body structure where you are having the head and body, and in
Mm,
the body you are having the different tags which are nested alongside each other. So in the React, it works on the virtual DOM concept, where what happens, React prepares one, like this is the actual DOM. When I'm into the browser, this is the actual DOM. So if I, let's say I want to change this uh, logo from the Google, then what happens with the JavaScript or the previous jQuery kind of applications, that it always replaces whole page. If I'm just updating this image from the Google, from this div tag, what it will do, it will update whole page or replace the whole page into the application. If I'm making the single change or updating, let's say I'm typing something, if whenever I type something, it will update the whole page to identify a particular element on the DOM tree, and
mm,
React avoids that, and that's where it is performance. intensive or uh, easy to lightweight compared with the other applications, where it will always try to replace only this element and not the whole page. That's where the performance will get improved, as it does not reload all the tags or the DOM tree objects. Instead of only updating this image or this particular text from the page. And how it achieves? It achieves through the virtual DOM concept. So what is a virtual DOM? It actually prepares one copy of the DOM that we saw from the Google page into in memory. And whenever the application or there is a change happens from the page, it identifies from which component it has made the changes, like the div, list, even item from the list, and it just replaces that particular component and not whole page down. So that is one of the uh, greater advantage of using the React. Have you understood or a bit
Yes, yes,
confused?
I understood. Yes.
Okay. So then there is as I said, that there is a strong community and ecosystem. So you can find anything related to the React onto the internet. Any library, if you want to, if you are stuck in any problem where you want to achieve something and you're not finding a proper solution into that React official documents, you can get it from the community. So strong community and ecosystem is available with React. And as you know that most of the organizations are moving to the React because of the single page applications and the
Yes.
lightweight. So what are the prerequisites to learn the Reacts? So we need to have the basic understanding of the HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript. But apart from that, there should be greater familiarity with the ECMAScript's ES6 features. ES is nothing but the ECMAScript 6 version of the JavaScript, which is the latest version for the JavaScript prototypes. And from that, basically, these three are important. Even I will say that not the three, but only two are important, where the let and const arrow functions, these are most of the times you will use whenever you are doing the React implementation. Classes, previously we were doing the class components and the functional components, but most of the times it's always now there are hooks into the React, so functional components is preferred over the class components. But having the base idea of how to write the classes is always good to have. So, do you know anything about the arrow functions?
These arrow functions are also used in jQuery in JavaScript.
And so you're also familiar with the let and const.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to have. Then the React key concepts. So these five things you will always the basic of the React. Anything you want to do with the React, these five things you will come across, or that will behind the scene will execute onto the React page or the React component. We are not calling like you are having a single browser page. So we never call whenever we create a class or the function into the React, we are not calling those as the page or anything, but we call those as the components, because those components different components collectively called creates a single page or single dialog kind of implementation from the browser. So components, these five things you will always be required if you are doing the React implementation. One is starting with the JSX. So JSX is JavaScript XML that we call as it is JavaScript plus HTML having the XML syntaxes. Components, there are two types of components, functional components and class-based components. Functional components, so do we have any idea about the what is the difference between them, functional components and class-based components?
No.
Okay.
Class based
So
mean there are pages created based on the components are created based on the defining class. That page name should be same, class name should be same. Or in the function, I mean, I just know about this function. Instead of class, it just define the functions and call them.
yes,
That's the I know.
yeah, yeah. Exactly correct. So functional components are nothing but the simple functions. Instead of creating the class and then you have to have the constructor if you know the vanilla JavaScript. So in that class component or class-based components, you need to create the class like we do it into the object-oriented programming language. But then you have to have the constructor if you want to do the state management. So every time state needs to be updated or the components needs to be re-rendered, you need to assign it or update it with the constructor. And in the constructor, you need to invoke the super constructor as well. So this is basically a more declarative or procedural oriented implementation. Instead of that, with the use of functional components, you just need to create the function and then how to manage the state. There are hooks. How to manage the re-rendering. There are different hooks like the use state, use effect, use memo, use callback. Uh, these hooks basically provide the support to update the states to manage the re-rendering of the components. Then there
Basically,
are
functional components are better than class based components.
uh, not better, but more what we can call easy to use. Behind the scene, functional components are converted to the class-based components only because React will always have these life cycle methods. That is the fourth point, where the it has to identify where the particular component is mounted, like it is available to execute, whether it needs to re-execute, and that React identifies from the class-based components only because class contains these lifecycle events and then constructor. But the React compiler or transpiler will itself will do the conversion from the functional to the class-based component. But easy to use, like you don't have to hard code everything, each and everything into the or know each and everything to update your particular state of that. Let's say you want to update the label of the component. Then you have to use the constructor, you have to update that state, you have to create that state. So and you have to use the this keyword a lot to know that from which instance you want to update the particular label. So like we can compare it how it is been easy to use functional components. Then there is a props and state. So props are nothing but read-only data that is passed from the one component to the other component. So whenever let's say you are having the uh, as you are creating the reusable components. So how to when it is called as the reusable component when your component dynamically takes the data from the other methods or the functions or from the UI and then adjusts itself according to that data. So how to pass that data? That is with the props and props you can easily remember as the parameters that we always have onto the methods in any programming language. So if you want to pass the ID, if you're doing it with the Java or any object-oriented programming language, we will call it as the parameter that you are passing the ID. But here you have to pass it as the props.
Hmm. Arguments, yes.
Yes. So props are nothing but the read-only data that is passed from the one component to the other component. And state. So state is nothing but whenever you want to re-render the particular components. In that case, the state management will comes into the picture. So what the state will do, it will update the, let's say you are having you are having the previous example where the Google is the text you are having, but now you want to update it with the on button click, you want to update it with the Facebook. Then whenever you click the button, that state of that component, state of that function or the React component needs to be updated. And how it will update? Through the state management. And for that you will have the use state as the function, or you can do it with the class based component where you have to declare the state by itself. But for simplicity, just we can take as the use state example. Maybe I'll show it at the last as well. And then there are so state management. Do you have any idea like what are the other techniques to have the state management? If your application is, as you said, that your project also has the React.
Yes, but I cannot develop that, and I cannot understand the
Okay,
flow better. Yes, I'm most of the work doing in the back end.
okay. So there are like pretty like everyone's scared whenever the React, whenever they learn the React, that they have to run the Redux implementations. And Redux is nothing but the state management library,
Okay, I
which
just know the we in the whole page wherever uh, initial stage there are some values we put it into the state and use in the whole page using state like that. Just knowing this much.
okay, okay. Uh, I'm just relating it like how it looks, but still I'm a bit confused. But maybe we can check it afterwards. So state, there are different ways to manage the state or keeps like. Let's take an example of you're calling one API from the backend
Hmm.
onto the UI, and it gives you the ID, name, and age of the user. Then how you will remember that? Let's say on third page you need to get that ID of the user and name of that user, and then
Hmm.
calculates the new age if he provides the birth date, or
we
to compare with
can
you.
we can call this like it is behaving like session.
Uh, yes, but sessions. So sessions are only limited to the, but on each session you have to go to the database and fetch the data.
Hmm. Hmm.
But every time it will be very performance hectic, or
Hmm.
performance will be hampered if you're doing the too many database calls. So in
Hmm.
that case, what happens that whenever the API calls are made, those API calls result or responses are stored into the state management libraries like the Redux, or there are context APIs where it will be stored. And then later time, if on that particular session, you are correct that it is in the session, but whenever the browser is reloaded, browser page reloaded, browser closed, in that case all the data which is stored into the state management libraries will be dumped, and it has to restored again whenever the new API calls are made.
Yeah. It means state does not need refresh the page.
Yeah,
It just
in
get
that,
pass. Hmm.
yes, it just kept it for that single session of the request of that browser. If the browser refreshed, browser is closed, anything happens with the browser tab or browser, uh, it will just dump the whole values which are stored into the state, and it has to restore again whenever the new API calls are made. That's why you will always get that consistency as well. If you are changing something, makes the new API call, new values will be updated into the state, and that can be used onto the any page into the React or the any component. Then there are lifecycle methods. So lifecycle methods, these are the methods from which React identifies whether to re-render particular page or the component onto the DOM. If you are updating any div, button, label that we talked earlier, it will always go through the lifecycle methods. Even the hooks, if you see the next point where the hooks are present into the functional components, but hooks itself also calls the lifecycle methods and updates the particular values into the DOM. So there are five or six lifecycle methods. Most of the time, if you are using the functional components, you don't have to worry; those itself will call. But
Mm.
to know that where when they are calling, it's better to know them. Like it has keywords like uh, will component mount, did component mount. So like that, there are five or six. Not exactly
Yes, I
remembering.
have seen those. Yes.
So these lifecycle methods are present, and hooks, as you know that there are different types of hooks for each of the purposes, like use state, use effect. If you need some memorization from the calculations, use memo. If your call, if your function is returning something from the other functions, then use callback. So different type of hooks are available, and you can create your own custom hooks as well. Any doubt?
No, I understood whatever you explained, but
Okay.
need to need to learn how can we construct whole concept.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. That will gradually come. It is,
Mhm,
but always good to have the basic clear, and when
mhm,
sometimes doing the practicals bit hard if you are not knowing the theoretically how it behaves behind the scene,
mhm,
or probably most of the time keywords are important. Any not only with the React in wherever we go, having the theoretical background is always beneficial before doing something. So this is one of the simple example you can see where you are having the functional component. You can see the props as well here, and in the props you are passing the name, and can you find the JSX here?
yes, H1 element is HTML part and function is a JS,
Yes.
combinedly called as JS6.
uh, yes, so there is a little variation into that. This is yeah. So function is into the JavaScript, and you are having the HTML tags H1s, and into the H1 you can add the JavaScript functions as well.
Mhm,
So here you are passing the JavaScript prop or the React prop, and that React prop you are incorporating into the HTML. But this HTML is written as the XML formats. So this basically constitutes the JSX. This particular whole page will call the JSX, and this part is also called as the returning the JSX elements into the XML format. So I'll just move to the one or two practicals. So I already, because I don't want to spend time on creating the
Structure.
structure or the base project into the React. So I already created simple. This is the command that from which you can create the JavaScript based application. In PX, create React app and name of the app. And for that we are using the VS Code. And if you want to use the TypeScript, then you have to annotate or add the another prop for the TypeScript, so it will all incorporate TSX TypeScript components as well. But if you are using this one, npx create react app demo app, it will create this basic structure. So what it contains? It contains the uh, few of the components or the JavaScript and the JSON files. One thing is important is it incorporates node models, and these node models are basically responsible to run the React app and to give you the uh, give you the libraries which are needed to create the React component. So this by default will come if something is wrong or if you are not able to import anything, not able to use any library, then either it is not presented to the node modules or node module is somehow corrupted if you are doing some other installations into the your app. So it's always if you're not working, then you can delete the node modules, run the npm I, and it will recreate all npm node modules, all node modules again into the application. Apart from that, we are concerned about the this packet.json, and these we can see it later. But we are concerned about these two pages. One is with the index.js, and in the index.js you can find there is a app component is used or imported. So whenever you are importing a particular component, then only it will invoke whatever the execution it has. So this is the simple JavaScript function app component where you can find the it has just returned the React logo which is available from the SVG file. And this will be added onto the page, and this structure basically you can find it as the XML structure where you are having the root component or root tag as the div, then you are having the header, and from the header you are having the image, then there is a p tag, and then there is anchor tab. So these are nothing but the HTMLs you are having. So and apart from that, this is the important step. If I'm just comment this line, what it will do?
It will remove the. It will not include the app in the index.js
Yes. So I'll just do the npm start.
because that is component is defined for export.
Yes. So export default is basically exporting the component
Hmm.
from that file to the whole application.
Hmm.
So if I disable it, you will get the error that it has been used but not
Defined
callable.
export.
If I'm removing that, you will see there is no need no, like there is no error into this and plain page will be rendered. If I just go again and uncomment the export defaulter,
Mm.
see it's running the logo. Now this is what we can see. If I just go and create the first component, let's say flow.jsx. So if you see, you can create the two types of components. One is the JS and another one is the JSX. If you are having the JS, you can see this is annotated or uh, the Visual Studio itself will identify that it is JS, but you can also mark it as the JSX to have the more React functions into it. So if I just use the JSX and here we are already familiar with the how the JavaScript function is written. So I can go with the creating the arrow function. Can you help me if you remember how to create the arrow function? So first is the having the const keyword. Then I'll just call it as the
Function name.
function name. Function name always needs to be in caps or the
uh,
camel letter. And
Bracket arrow.
yes, this is our
Function name.
function name, but this is whole is the arrow function that we are having.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
this
it
is
will
the
return the result into hello.
yes. So this is the empty declaration that I have done for the arrow function. Then I can add my return statement. So return can possible with the both way. Either you are having the uh, braces around it, or you can just add the h1 tag and print the hello. Just give the react. Now just reformat it somehow. Okay. So this is these two way it will be possible. Either you can do the h1 tag and let's say this is also possible. Anything is okay if, as you are comfortable with the implementation. And finally, we have to, as it is saying that this has been just declared but never used, so we have to export it. Export default hello. And if I just go here, so index.js is our first uh, starting point of any React application. So whatever you will write here is always rendered first. I will do, I will just go and comment these and
Hello.js.
uh, do we require the JSX
No, no,
extension?
no.
No, we don't require. We just need to because we already have the what needs to be exported
Mm.
from the file, and we are saying that we are just exporting this function. So it is not comparing the extension for that function. It is just taking the function name and just coming to the application. And if you see closely, this has been imported as well. So it is not finding it. You can just do the control dot and you can see that it has been imported with the from where it is where is executing that function. So if I just go to the page, you will see that it is showing me the React. We can pass the props as well. So if I just go here, this is passing the props. So how to pass the props? Let's say I will go here. There are two way. If you closely see, I think you are familiar with this is the auto closing of the component. You can do this as
Yes.
well. This is also okay. And what I will pass, I will pass the props, and here I will pass the name as React. So I'm a bit familiar with like TypeScript, not with the vanilla JavaScript. Yeah. So this is how it has been. Let's say I'll go with the React 2.3. Save. So this way you can pass the props to your function. So this is complaining that the name is missing in props validation as it is having the sonar cube extension in my VS Code. And that's where the problem occurs if you are using the vanilla JavaScript over the TypeScript. Because if you are using the TypeScript, then you will create the type for this name that it is expecting the name type with the string data type. And then uh, it will always get the string type only and not the something else. So if I can just go and create, so how the reusability achieves? So this is the hello. I can just go and write the 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no need to write the duplicate components. I can write any amount of components that I can. So you are having only one, and let's say I will just do the So I'm passing the multiple props.
Yes, we added two arguments in past two arguments value in the props as object, and we use here.
Yes, but if you just, I'll just comment this line and we can see the result. If you see, this is calling different times. Even I'm not passing the second argument.
Hmm.
So it is undefined. So what I, this is error. If
Mm-hmm.
you are seeing the
Then you
production
check
application.
it is available or not. Then you pass there.
Yes. So then you can use the power of the JavaScript and can just add the validation into the JSX only. We are not using any JavaScript functions into this. So we are just adding there is validation. And now it will just render if there is undefined or value available for that second parameter. Any doubt?
No. Which sections we are going to? I mean, all the contents. Can I
Mhm.
know? I mean, what contents we are going to cover in this course? And
Mm,
is there any demo project we are going to do? I'm just asking my queries.
okay. So before that, do you have any question regarding this demo lecture?
No, no. In deep, I'm sure we are going in detail
Yes.
while conducting course.
Yes, absolutely. So uh, regarding the content, I'm not sure because I just got the invite from the ma'am that I have to take the demo lecture. What content
Mhm.
needs to be added? So I guess that you have to discuss with her only. And if you and demo project we have to do. If
Okay.
you are attending the classes, we because ultimately we will incorporate all those use cases from where you will understand how to use it and why we have to use that particular concept and then not the other things.
Mm-hmm.
So project we have to do because there is no any other options. We will not just stick to the classroom college like classroom training
Hmm.
where you will just see the one example and go home and try to use it
That's
in your.
exactly I wanted to know
Yeah,
how.
that is not my way also, and that will not help you as well, because
Hmm.
examples you can find it anywhere, but the actual project use, that's where the challenge occurs.
Hmm.
So that we will do if the training continues. And content, basically, at least I from my side, it will be hooks, and then the context API, state management, and apart from that, React lifecycle events, and some of the advanced concepts from the React, like React router library. Because if you are building the application, then routing is important, and we have to use the React router library as well. So few
Hmm.
libraries, and then whatever you, if you want that few of the things you needed from your project that you want to understand, then that we can incorporate as well.
And how can we manage backend code as well? APIs are those
So
sections to cover?
backend APIs, just a minute. Yeah, backend API. There are already dummy websites available which provides the dummy API calls.
Hmm.
So from that we can use, or either we can create any backend applications into the node as well. But that will be heavy to understand. So basically, we will stick to the hard-coded responses from the APIs, or we will use the whatever dummy APIs exposed from different applications that we can.
Okay.
Okay, then I'm done from my side. So, do you have any last questions, or is it helpful, or you want to comment anything?
Yeah, I understood whatever you trying to say and trying
Okay,
to understand me. Yes, it's okay for demo.
okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Then you can speak with her.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Or yes, I wanted to know the can
Mhm.
we make it physically in the weekend physical
Yeah,
classes? Yeah. Okay.
physical. Maybe you can speak with her. Then maybe we
Yeah, I
can
will speak
discuss.
with her. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Hello, Sapna.
Hello.
No, I'm talking with Sapna.
Okay, I will leave it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Hello, Sapna. Are you there?